Good Monday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. It's a brand new day, it's a brand new week, which means it's a brand new opportunity for you to do something amazing, and it all begins today. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Monday. We have the truth of the day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's entertainment spotlight, be part of my conversation with entrepreneur Shaqwana Woodard Granderson. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Monday headlines. In international news, the Associated Press calls it a mixed bag. Erratic pandemic Olympics comes to a nuanced end. It began with the virus and a year-long pause. It ended with a typhoon blowing through and still a virus. In between, just about everything. The Tokyo Olympics, christened with 2020, but held in mid-2021 after being interrupted for a year by the coronavirus, glided to their conclusion in a COVID-emptied stadium on Sunday night, is an often surreal mixed bag for Japan and for the world. Held in the middle of a resurging pandemic, rejected by many Japanese, and plagued by months of administrative problems, these games presented logistical and medical obstacles like no other, offered up serious conversations about mental health, and when it came to sport, delivered both triumphs and a few surprising shortfalls. Athletes' perseverance became a central story, mental health claimed bandwidth as never before, and athletes revealed their stories and struggles in vulnerable, sometimes excruciating fashion. Japan's fourth Olympics, held 57 years after the 1964 Games reintroduced the country after its World War II defeat, represented a planet trying to come together at a moment in history when disease and circumstance and politics had splintered it apart. The closing ceremony on Sunday reflected that, and at times nudged the proceedings toward a sci-fi flavor. As athletes stood in the arena for the final pump, digital scoreboards at either end of the stadium featured what organizers called a fan video matrix, a Zoom call-like screen of videos uploaded by spectators showing themselves cheering at home. Even the parade of athletes carrying national flags, thousands of Olympians, masked and unmasked, clustering together before fanning out into the world again, was affected. Volunteers carried some flags into the stadium, presumably because of rules requiring athletes to leave the country shortly after their events concluded. In national news, late nights, early mornings await Senate on infrastructure. Senators were back at work Sunday and laboring toward eventual passage of a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package, while the Democratic leadership vowing to stay as long as it takes to overcome Republican holdouts who want to drag out final votes on one of President Joe Biden's top priorities. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stressed to colleagues that they could proceed the easy way or the hard way, while a few GOP senators appeared determined to run out the clock for days. "We'll keep proceeding until we get this bill done," Schumer said. The measure would provide what Biden has called a historic investment in public works programs, roads, bridges, broadband internet access, drinking water, and more. In a rare stroke of bipartisanship, Republicans joined Democrats on Saturday to advance the measure. If approved, the bill would go to the House. We're on the cusp of seeing that move through the Senate, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said, citing a remarkable coalition that includes business, labor, and lawmakers from both parties. "I think we're about to get this done," he said. Despite that overwhelming support, momentum ground to a standstill when a handful of Republican senators refused to yield hours of required debate time before the next procedural votes. Final passage would be pushed to Tuesday. In more national news, Fauci hopeful COVID vaccines get full okay by FDA within weeks. The U.S. government's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, said Sunday that he was hopeful the Food and Drug Administration will give full approval to the coronavirus vaccine by month's end, and predicted the potential move will spur a wave of vaccine mandates in the private sector. The FDA has only granted emergency use approval of the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines, but the agency is expected to soon give full approval to Pfizer. The Biden administration has stated that the federal government will not mandate vaccinations beyond the federal workforce, but it's increasingly urging state and local governments as well as businesses to consider such mandates. And finally, in entertainment news, with coronavirus rising, the Suicide Squad opens softly. Movie-going, once expected to be closer to semi-normal levels by now, continues to be battered by the pandemic, the Delta variant of the coronavirus, and in-home streaming. The latest casualty, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, a critically acclaimed, carnage-ridden would-be smash that disappointed with $27 million in estimated ticket sales. The Warner Brothers film, which was released simultaneously on HBO Max, could claim one pandemic record, the top R-rated opening. But the Suicide Squad, featuring the Guardians of Galaxy director, first DC Comics film, has seemed poised to be a bigger hit, and may have been if the Delta variant wasn't keeping a lot of moviegoers home. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Words and thoughts are limited. Your thoughts are limited to the vocabulary you have and your life experiences. The truth about life, about anything, is without limits. Truth simply is. Truth is not changeable or relative. You cannot hide from truth, for there is nothing to hide from. And you cannot defend truth, as there is nothing to defend. Truth is a simple statement. It can be a fact, yet not all facts are truths. For example, 2 equals 4 is a truth. It will never change. 2 apples plus 2 apples will always give you 4 apples. Yet a statement such as the sky is blue is not a truth. We see the sky as blue because that is the color being reflected back to us from our atmosphere. When a fact is changeable, it is not a truth, as a truth never changes. To the extent you have to defend something, it is not a truth. When someone says something to you and you feel uncomfortable with what they said, do not defend it. Sit with the uncomfortable feeling and understand the truth about yourself and what you need to learn. Today, take a truthful look at yourself. Enjoy the day.
Entrepreneur Shaqwana Woodard Granderson is joining me in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Entrepreneur Shaqwana Woodard Granderson joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about what it's been like for her to do work that she loves in serving others. Here's a bit of our conversation. For people who may just be discovering you and the work that you've been able to do, what has it been like for you to have made a decision of what you wanted to do professionally and then to be able to see how it's worked out for you?
For me, it has been a transition. I started out in the classroom teaching, and then I loved it. I did it for about 4 or 5 years, and then I was like, I'm not making a strong impact in the community like I want to make a strong impact in the community. So then from there, I started getting into in the master program at Belhaven, Masters in Leadership. And in the leadership program, we were dealing with a lot of numbers, math, statistics, and I fell in love with it. So I'm telling myself, like, what can I do with this? So I decided that, getting in the tax industry is my calling. So I dived into the tax industry.
Wow. So let's talk about that, because taxes are not people's favorite things to do, which is why I do mine quarterly. It can be confusing at times, and I think for a lot of people, Shaqwana, when they think about it, there's a dread that comes every year, especially for those who are thinking about, am I going to get something back? Am I going to pay? What was it about tax preparation that made you say this was something that you wanted to be involved in?
So I was like, I need to, at least I can step in and help with tax preparation and, smooth people. They already have plenty of worries. And I knew that, my affordable prices, they would kind of adjust to me more and, we can relate more.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. Prepare to you guys on tomorrow's more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.